Okay, so we have a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and it's great to have Jordy here. Jordy, you've created an incredible company, Jump, that is now helping so many different amazing sports teams with ticketing and lots of other needs when it comes to understanding who your fans are. And you've built up this intelligent ticketing system, which is, I think, something really different for this space, something that teams need. And we've seen, the reception you're getting from NBA and WNBA franchises they're signing on. So I'm excited to have you here, talk about what you built, and just get into your journey. Thanks for coming on.
Sounds great. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, Jordy, how did your interest in entrepreneurship and sports kind of come together? How did this passion of yours really begin? I'd love to just dive into that first.
Sure. I actually was really wanting to get into sports business when I was a kid. When I went to college, dreams of an internship in the sports business world, and I actually got an internship at Major League Baseball and at IMG 2 different summers when I was in college. I
Nice.
loved it, but I just didn't feel like at that time, and this was over 20 years ago, there just wasn't like the pace of innovation and the pace of business and just generally the learning that I felt like I really wanted when I got out of school. And so I veered away from sports actually. And did a couple of years in finance, got kind of the investment banking, business education. And then I just got bit by the startup bug. I was really excited about entrepreneurship. I really wanted to do my own thing, build my own thing. And so I did that for a long time, and I built a different company in a totally different space, and it went pretty well. And we raised venture money, and we had a great exit to a public company. And then as it happened, my world kind of came right back into sports totally by accident with Marc, who is a longtime mentor and friend and advisor of mine and a client of mine. He ended up buying an NBA team. And so
Yeah,
the connection that we had always had brought us back together and decided to build this company together and Jump as a part of marketing back into sports himself.
that's awesome, Jordy. How did you meet Mark initially? I mean, it seems like you said an advisor, partner. I mean, you guys have had this relationship for a while. How did it start?
Yeah, we have it. Honestly, this is the power of the cold outreach. I think this is a very underappreciated thing in today's world. Young people probably imagine if you send an email to somebody or, reach out that they're never going to respond. And for the most part, probably right. But you never know. And at that time, Mark was starting diapers.com. And so he wasn't the Marc Lore that's, profiled on the cover of magazines like he is today. But he was still, in my eyes, he was a big deal because he was an entrepreneur that was building something real. And I reached out to him, and I got his email information from Bucknell University, which is the school we both went to. He was about 12, 13 years ahead of me. But I started talking to people at Bucknell about, hey, I was a student here. I'm trying to build a company. It has to do with e-commerce. Are there any alums or anybody know anybody who knows anything about e-commerce? Like, yeah, you should talk to this guy, Marc Lore. He's in Montclair, New Jersey, doing some diapers business. And I was like, diapers? Okay, whatever. Like, I'll reach out. And we just hit it off, became fast friends. And I've really looked up to him ever since that day. And I'm thrilled that we get to work together now.
That's awesome. How did the idea for Jumps? I mean, like, was there an experience with ticketing that you're like, this needs to be much better? I mean, it seems like you're a sports fan. You've been going to a lot of sports games, so you understood the ticketing experience. But what made you want to get on the other side of this?
Well, on the one hand, the idea for Jump isn't about ticketing per se. It's actually about the broader fan experience and going to live events. Ticketing is a big part of that. But actually, that's part of the problem we're solving is that it's not just ticketing.
Mm.
And so just, I'll tell you about how we got into it in a second. But if you think about all the folks who do ticketing in sports, look at the names of these companies, right? It's Ticketmaster and SeatGeek and Access, which is like, getting into the building, and Tixer and StubHub. And like, it's literally just about ticketing. And, I'm a fan of a team. And when I want to go to a game or I'm watching a game or I'm reading about players or like, ticketing it's a part of it, but it's not like the thing. And so we wanted to build a platform that actually incorporates a fan's entire journey before the event, during the event, after the event, the content, the merch, the experiences. So it's actually not just about ticketing, but it did start though with the kernel of insight that Marc, who was looking at buying a professional sports team, was just frustrated that it seemed that everything was very rigid in the world of going to an event. Like, you buy a ticket, and that's it. You have to sit in that seat for the whole game. Nothing's dynamic. You can't move seats. You can't maybe oversell a venue. Let's say it's going to be a Final Four game or a playoff game or something, or like an NFL game, whatever. They're sold out, yet there's no shows. And how do you fill those seats? Basically, like Marc was coming from a highly dynamic world of e-commerce and Amazon and Walmart, who both respectively like bought his first two e-commerce companies. And so it was just like, man, this thing is totally legacy, old school. And so it did come from a place of how do we do something dynamic? And then as he and I were starting to talk about it, it was like, man, this is a much bigger story, much bigger picture opportunity than just, a ticketing idea.
So what was version one looking like, Jordy? Like, when was the first prototype? What was the idea? Was it still around experience and ticketing, or did ticketing come after in prototype one?
Well, we had the opportunity, knowing that we wanted to build a real company. We wanted to build a real business, like a scaled, venture-backed, highly ambitious vision. That V1 was always, I mean, we explored different ways to kind of get in and somewhat small and grow up. But like this kind of a startup is not like get in, build something in 6 weeks, ship it, get a few customers, and then learn from that. Like that's not what this is about. This is much more like a massive investment in R&D to do something huge. Like if you're building a car, you're building a nuclear power plant or energy, business, like you can't build something, launch it in a month or two, and then get some feedback and then get a little bit bigger and then get a little bit bigger. You have to really go big. And so from the very early days, it was pretty obvious to us that the ecosystem is not built around partnerships. It's not built around real-time data pipelines. It's not built like a sophisticated tech stack that exists in many other categories. And so it was pretty clear we have to just build our own platform. And then we want to open up our platform to be the marketplace that then does incorporate real-time data, real-time partnerships with others that create experiences for, fans and bring startups, let 1,000 flowers bloom, as opposed to the very rigid, like walled garden of how the world works today in the category.
Were you surprised by how easily teams were willing to embrace a D2C model, and like what got them to embrace it so simply? Was it like was there certain points of data you were presenting, Jordy, to them that they couldn't get anywhere else that just made them say, hey, we've got to go and use Jump?
Well, yeah, it's funny, the experience for us in talking to Timo, and this has been through the whole R&D cycle of us of building together with teams, giving us advice. This is one of those startup ideas where everybody was already totally into the idea before we even showed up. Like who wouldn't be, right? If you own a team or you run a team, would you rather own your customer relationship and get access to all the data and be in total control, or would you rather not? And so, of course, like we came in, we're not the first people to ever have this idea either. And so there's always just been a really warm reception to the get it factor. Everybody gets it. The challenge in this industry is, it sounds too good to be true. Like this is a really big thing. This is a really hard problem to solve. It's a big category to break into because of the legacy incumbents and how the industry has been shaped. And so I think it's just unlike a lot of startups where some people hear the idea and they're like, well, I guess, like, I don't know, like I kind of, this one, they're just like, well, obviously, but like, can you do it? And is it real? And so I love that as an entrepreneur, that motivates you even more, obviously, to say, you know what, I'm going to keep you posted.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've gotten the backing of even more great people. You have Alexis, co-founder of Reddit, who just led your Series A. Can you talk about how that happened, Jordy, and why was he a great partner for you? I know he's got the whole sports background now too of his investments, so maybe shining some light on that would be great.
Sure. Yeah. Alexis he's been a friend of mine for over 10 years, actually. We connected in New York early days when I was involved in my last business, Stella Connect. And he's obviously been a elder statesman, so to speak, of the startup community. And he's always been a huge supporter of, startups in general and entrepreneurship as a founder of Reddit. And then increasingly in the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, his focus in his world has shifted entirely into this idea of women's sports and sports meets technology. And so when we reconnected, he's a founding, control owner of Angel City FC. Our first customer to go live was actually an NWSL club, just like Angel City. And so we reconnected as a part of that, where Jump was now in the NWSL, helping clubs build and grow and go direct to customers, and telling him about what we were doing. It was just like, I was 2 minutes into the pitch, like explaining what we were doing. He's like, stop, I get it. Like, you don't have to, like, I get it. And so it was just so fun to reconnect with him and talk about it, because it's just such a blending of his passion of sports, and especially the emergence of women's sports and technology. And Jump is sort of the center of that bullseye.
So did he come to your building around, or you came to him? Like, did the round come together?
Yeah, we're talking to investors about putting our Series A together, and there are certain investors where they're really high up on your list because of their their experience, their context, their knowledge, their network, the quality of person they are, which is actually probably number one on my list. And Alexis is as high as you can get on that list in terms of what we want. And so reconnected, I think, through the ownership group of the North Carolina Courage and Steve Malik and Alexis. And then, like I said, we'd been friends. We had kind of lost touch for many years there, and then reconnected. And he's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. I can't believe, I didn't know about it." And then I say, "Yeah, well, we're raising a round right now." And so quickly kind of put the round together, and then brought in a number of other strategic investors who are very focused on this exact industry, which is sports tech and elevating the fan experience and really rethinking the entire legacy tech stack for the category.
What has been the feedback from Timberwolves fans specifically? I think they've been one of your great tests. What have fans thought?
Well, we're really about to get started with the Timberwolves. The opening game for the regular season is this weekend. So I can tell you that, we launched the mobile app for the team, and obviously launched the ticketing feature functionality and on sale and everything over the last couple months. And so we are getting early feedback from them in terms of the fans, which has been amazing. And there's communities of Reddit, fans and other people talking about, the bar is really low in the category. So we do our best to not use that as our measure for success, is be better than what came before us. But I think there was a lot of interest and excitement about doing something better and bigger and different. And so the early things that fans have been able to see, and downloading the team app and starting to engage with the ticketing system, has been very, very positive. And we're seeing that publicly. And, I'll be there that whole first week with all those first few home games, and talking to as many fans as I possibly can, and talking to everybody at the Timberwolves to collect as much feedback as we can to just keep making it better and better every day.
That's awesome. So it's rolling out now.
Rolling out now. This is it. Go time.
Amazing. When you think about evolving the experience for fans, you've got this platform, you have this tech stack you build out. What's kind of next in your mind for features that you want to create and build out for optimizing fan experience and making it better?
Yeah, the most exciting feature that getting a lot of visibility right now is the ability to jump up into better seats, and hence the name Jump of the company is one of the use cases maybe of the terminology for Jump. Is you're sitting somewhere, it's you see great seats that are up close, and you want to get closer to the action. And so this part of the system and the feature functionality for Jump is you can actually, during the game, jump up to a better seat and pay for a dynamically priced seat that's closer to the action during the game. And there's a lot of different threads that you can pull on the platform, and the capabilities and feature functionality to make that possible. So, fans who don't show up and filling up those seats, or fans who leave early and filling up those seats, or also overselling a venue. Like I said, if there's early, this was one of the original ideas for Marc. Hey, the game's sold out, but then why are there empty seats? Like, why do I see that in this section, there's 20 empty seats I can see? Well, let people maybe buy, it's a sold out game, but let people buy like a pending seat assignment kind of a ticket for a much cheaper price than they otherwise would have been able to buy. And then they get assigned a seat, at some point during the game, and they go sit wherever they can. And that's for a super high demand event, like a Super Bowl or playoffs or Final Four or whatever. So, everything that is dynamic about the experience we're focused on. Another big thread that we're focused on is just the personalization of the entire journey. So who are you as a fan? Are you someone who goes to games with your best buddies and it's sort of a night out for your friends? Or are you someone who, like me, I have 3 little kids, and going to a sporting event with them is so fun and it's a totally different experience than when I go with my buddies. And so what are our needs and what do we want to do? And we want to talk, and go see the mascot, and we want to have like unlimited, like popcorn. And so like showing the right thing, the right offer at the right price to the right person at the right time, that again has everything to do with the experience, not specifically just the ticket. And so those are the things that we're really excited about, is on the back end enabling and using AI to sort of create those offers and put those types of promotions in front of the right people, and then have the fans see it, engage with it, convert at the highest level, and then have the best experience for them.
How big do you think that the demand is going to be? Like, I mean, even just also availability, Jordy. Like, I mean, how many seats do you think are really available in these stadiums that you could be monetizing this for? Is it, you think it's quite a lot? I mean, is it thousands of people are leaving during the middle of the game sometimes?
No, I don't think thousands of people are leaving. I mean, growing up, I always joke that I never saw a fourth quarter of any game in my whole life because my dad was a beat the traffic guy. And so, I grew up in Denver, and so go to Broncos games and go to Nuggets games, and it could have been an amazing playoff game, and we were out of there at the end of the third. And traffic's so bad in a lot of these places, I don't blame them. So, but no, I don't think that's the primary use case. But I think the sports that are basketball, baseball, hockey, even soccer, there's a lot of games during the year. I mean, football's maybe different because there's only 8 home games a year, 9 or 10. Like there's only 10 games a year that people are really going to. Like when there's 50, 60, 70 games, like that's a lot of games, and people are not going to utilize their tickets. They might try to sell them. They might try to give them away, but there are empty seats. And the corporatizing nature of season tickets as well, they're so expensive. Maybe they're bought by law firms or banks or whatever. Yeah, the seats go unfilled. And so it's just a great opportunity for teams to get fans closer to the action, monetize, even further. Fans win, teams win. Actually, it's good for TV and sponsors because they don't want to see empty seats during the broadcast. And if you talk to players, I mean, we know this from Alex, Alex Rodriguez, my co-founder, they don't want to perform and play with a bunch of empty seats up in the front either. Like that's not inspiring for them. That's not the energy that they feed off. So it just depends by sport, by market, by game. But the punchline is any way to dynamically, sort of drive yield and bring more fans closer to the action. That's what we're going to try to do.
I love it. Makes a lot of sense. How do you determine who leaves the game? Or, I mean, I understand if there's beforehand, you can, I guess, get notified by different people. Hey, I'm not going to use this seat. But is that what the app is for? Is to identify during the game who's leaving, and maybe when they exit the stadium, there's some rotational awareness, or I mean, people may not tell you on the app or that they're gone. How do you determine what seats are available?
Yeah, we're going to make sure that it's a very clean and well understood process. There's a few different mechanisms and things that we're going to be testing out to confirm that fan has actually, released, quote unquote, that seat for others to then jump up to. What we're not going to do is, violate the trust of a fan who purchased a seat, went to the bathroom or walked around the arena, and then they come back and their seat's filled. That's not going to happen. So we're going to be very careful about it. But technology is now pretty good, that the experience and the user design of how we do it and the in-venue experiences to basically give fans the opportunity and the option to be a part of it. And we think that there's a lot of interest in people having this kind of experience, but we're going to be testing a lot of different things to find what works best.
Yeah, because I could think like the smarts checkout technology could be interesting of having that deployed in a stadium. It's probably quite expensive, and you can just identify where everybody is and when they're leaving. But I mean, doing something with the app makes the most sense. Having someone log out, I guess, or locational awareness.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Like I said, there's a number. We're not going to. This is the first year. We're obviously going to be testing it, and so that's exactly what we are going to do as a startup and a new company, is trying out different methods and different mechanisms and experimenting and find what works. And then we'll lean in heavily into that.
Sounds good, Jordy. Just the last question I have, like, what is your long-term vision for this company? Where do you see it in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, we think that the professional sports community wants to go direct to their customers. They want to have direct to consumer businesses, just like all the great brands that you and I know that go direct to their customers. And of course, they do want to have distribution channels and to be able to sell anything and everything that they sell through other channels. But first and foremost, they need their own channel. And so the vision for Jump is to build a platform that enterprise software, again, this is not a ticketing marketplace. This isn't a ticketing company. This is enterprise software that helps them deepen the engagement with their fans by going direct to their fans. So they get all the data, they control the experience, they control the economics. And as a result, they can create just a completely new and dynamic experience for fans, and to have the technology actually improve the fan experience as opposed to detract from it. And so the vision for Jump is to bring this to sports teams around the world. And we have a great first year here of clients who are showing us what's possible.
It's awesome. Well, Jordy, thanks for taking the time and doing this. I think it's a really exciting and interesting idea, and it's a space that can use some a disruptor and some modernization. So I look forward to seeing this in action at the Timberwolves games and with other teams, and how you're going to improve the fan experience. It's exciting. So thanks for coming on.
You got it. Thank you.